Good morning. This is a reflection on lesson 225 in A Course in Miracles. It says, God is my Father and His Son loves Him. So, you know how I feel about the language. This is very much written in the time of, and it's using all the traditional biblical text for God, like Him, His, the Son, everything. But this text also says that God is everything. And it points to this, I guess, this underlying truth that you don't personify God. So to me, it's kind of a irony or paradox, whatever you want to call it, that this text talks about God in both ways. I kind of love that because it's almost like a gentle, easing, it's like a bridge between that old traditional language that we're used to in the Bible where we personify God. Ooh, there's lightning, I gotta hurry up. Shouldn't be really out by the water when that's some big lightning. It's earlier in the morning than I've been out here, so it's still a little stormy. And it's a bridge between that and then this broader understanding of what God really is and how God really is in us, and it's not personified as in this separate entity that exists from me. There's no separation. Think of God as an energy. So when it said all of that to say, when it says God is my Father and His Son loves Him, it's this idea that God is everything. And if you can bring yourself to love everything, sorry, there was somebody who surprised me. Somebody ran down from the trees and appeared out of nowhere, and I was like, "Whoa!" So anyway, what I was saying was, like, to love God. So some of these lessons are all about just realizing that God loves you. Like there is a universal love you can tap into, that God energy. The love's always there. God is love. We are love. And then when we feel that, we can act from a place of love. And then this is reversing it to say, and we can show our love to God. Because what we, like giving and receiving are the same. I said that again. So I think of this as like, I love tapping into that feeling of like, high tide, high tide. This is like even higher than yesterday, I think, so I better be careful. So I love when I have that blissful, joyful feeling of genuine, sincere love for everything. Everything. This tree, this water, the sky, the animals, every person, without judgment. I can love myself. Like literally love for everything is how I practice this lesson, because God is everything and God is love. So just love everything. Why do we discriminate between what we're going to love? It makes no sense, right? And then you're like, well, why would I love bad people? And it's like, is the person bad? And they're the ones who are acting in behaviors that you do not prefer, is maybe what you call bad. Don't they need love the most? Maybe they've never received it. Why can't we still love them? To not love them is to cast judgment on them. So that's what it reminds me of too, is like this love is equal. It's maximum love all the time. There's no levels or grades or degrees of love. Love is love. It's the fullest it could ever be at all times. And it's infinite in that way, and that there is no measurement. It's just maximum love. Just like I love to talk about, we have maximum worth when we come into this life. There's no degrees of worth between people, between me and that tree, between me and an animal, and me and that bird. I just thought, what if it pooped on me because it went right above my face? That would have been perfect. So like this idea that we're doling out judgment of degrees and levels on every single thing, isn't it exhausting? Oh my God, isn't it exhausting? The way that we have to keep track. Okay, this is how much I'm giving that person. This is how much I'm giving that animal. This is how much, like, it's exhausting. Why not just give all the love all the time? Oh, so simple, so easy. What's the harm in that? Usually what it comes down to is this, if we dig inward, I feel like it usually comes down to like, but back to that self-worth. Like, a lot of stuff like that comes down to not feeling worthy. And then it's like, well, how's that related? And it's like, well, I am going to be stingy with my love because probably that's how somebody treated me in my younger years. So I had this belief that there's only enough to go around. And therefore, I don't feel worthy to get maximum love. So that's how I was raised. Like, I wasn't worthy enough to feel maximum love all the time. And so it usually goes back to some wound. That's why it's like, why should we judge anyone? We're all just a little bit wounded, trying to heal that in sometimes dysfunctional ways just because we don't know better. We're all on our own timelines for that. Our own unique journey, weaving in and out of the lessons we're learning and not learning and relearning. It's such a circuitous path for each one of us. There should be no expectation on how long it takes or what it should look like. So for me to have this feeling of like, they just don't deserve 100% of my love. What? That just says more about me than it does them, right? So it kind of talks about the degree of woundedness I am. And I feel like a lot of us are starting to talk about this stuff in a way that it's like resonating with just the general public, but yet a lot of people still have never heard of these ideas. And there's this truth that a lot of people don't even know they're wounded, right? They don't know that they could use a little tenderness. So that's what I mean, we're all on our own journey. There's like nowhere to go. Okay, so that's what this lesson meant to me. 100% love all the time to all things, all beings, everything. The air, the sky, the debris on the beach. Right? Yesterday, I was staring at a leaf outside my window, and I was just filled with love. I was just like, oh my God, so beautiful. Not that it was any more beautiful than the leaf next to it, or I've seen it a million times before, but it just struck me, and then it just filled everything. And then I went on a whole journey that led to some, underneath it all, there was this, like, a whole thing erupted that I didn't know was waiting there under the surface. And sometimes, like, people will say, go in, like, if you're doing shadow work, for example, it's like, don't go looking for it, just get curious about what's showing up when it shows up. So I had this is gonna get long. It should probably be a separate video. I'll just tack it on here in case you're bored. Really bored. But somehow that changed into this memory of when I was cooking the night before. Or was it? Time gets weird here, so I don't know when it was. But I was reflecting on, in that moment of just pure love, it kind of reminded me about having love for my country somehow. Like love for the people back home, because I'm far away from home. And so I was like, in that moment I remembered having this thought while I was at the grocery store. Here, most of the cans that I've seen you can get things in a smaller can size, like a small can of beans, a small can of mushrooms. I know back home we have small cans of mushrooms, but that seems to be one of the only things we have small cans of. Here you can get small corn, like small, like single serving size corn, single serving size peas, beans, and I'm like, and each can has a pull top. You don't have to use a can opener necessarily. Most of them. The ones that I find, funnily enough, the ones that I find where I have to use a can opener are imported from the US. Isn't that funny? So I thought, how odd that, I mean, how beautiful and like funny that things are smaller and more convenient here. That's one example. Smaller portions, more convenient, because not everyone has the luxury of having a can opener, right? So the people who import cater to their people, and it's not any more expensive than any other brand. They're cheaper than even the US imported brands where you need a can opener. And I thought, wow, small sizes too. That's plenty for a meal. Like, there's, you know what I mean? It's like in the US, bigger. And I had this thought that hit me of like, of course I've thought it many times, but in this context of even down to the basic things like what gets served to us in the grocery stores, our options that are available to us are pretty limited, bigger and less convenient, right? It's like consume more, work harder. Isn't that the American ethos? Consume more, work harder. Here, consume less. Be comfortable. My pants got wet. And then what erupted in that moment was a deep shame. I was able to tap into some deep shame about being American. Deep, deep shame that was just as big as any shame I felt about any one of my other wounds from childhood, right? It was like, oh my God, this truly is one of the things we Americans are born as Americans to grapple with, is the shame of being American. And it is at its pinnacle, isn't it, with what's going on in the US, which honestly I've had to tune out most of it because it's overwhelming. It just, whoa. And a lot of us Americans, we are bred. We're better than everybody else. And we are individuals. We have work ethic. We can do anything. We have all the opportunities. That's like, it's mind brainwashing us since birth, isn't it? I know people don't like that term, but I don't have a better term right now, other than we truly are brainwashed as Americans. And then all of our commercials are about beauty, having more, striving for more, bigger, better, more beautiful, all the time. And you know it's true. Just look at any commercial. And then diminish the pain. Here's all these pharmaceutical ads. Get rid of the pain. Don't feel the pain. Just keep striving for beauty and bigness and boldness. Be an individual. You don't need family. Go out on your own. You don't live with generations like we do in other countries, where you have a support system for life. It's like, no, go strike out on your own, right? That's a phrase. Strike out on your own. Be an individual. Go out and be something. So with all of that swirling around, I was like, man, there's a lot of shame here. Like, to be born as an American is to grapple with all that. We're so lonely. We're so lonely and disconnected, especially from ourselves. And to have to deal with that throughout our entire lives, that's like a story arc of a lifetime when you're born an American. It's like, and I thought about, there was this poem that sort of came into my head that I should have voice journaled or something, but the gist of it was like, I was thinking about the people who are going to really fight hard against that sentiment. Oh, you're anti-American. Oh, their heels are dug in deep, aren't they? Oh, yeah. You're anti-American. No. I was just born into this landmass, right? How can I be for or against anything? I was just literally came into existence on top of this piece of land. And then the brainwashing started. If I take it back before the brainwashing, I'm not for or against anything, right? So the people who are really having a hard time with this are probably, their heels are dug in deep. They super identify with being American, understandably so, from all the brainwashing for a lifetime. That's their identity. Personally, I don't see American as an identity for me, but a lot of people identify as American. And they don't want to feel the shame. They don't even think that is an option. Like, that's an absurd notion, right? To people who are really dug in deep identifying as American. That shame's going to be really hard to tap into. And I thought about how that's okay. Shame is patient. It waits. And that's kind of where the poem took me from there. Is how patient shame is, isn't it? It's just always, it's so patient, just waiting for us to really feel a little bit down, to really stop distracting ourselves from not feeling it. I better start walking back. I have no more room on the beach to walk. And then, so that's where that whole thing took me, just from looking at a leaf and feeling all the love in the world. I was able to finally tap into a more direct experience of the shame I feel as being this, having a label as American. And it's for all those reasons. It's not our fault. We were born on this landmass and fed a bunch of media. It's not our fault, but it is our responsibility. What are we going to do with that in this lifetime? And maybe it's not your journey, so you don't have to feel responsibility. But part of me, I feel like in my own personal journey, because I love to travel and I just love to experience other cultures so much, that's got to be part of my journey. The dichotomy, always going back and forth between the U.S. and another country. It makes it such a stark contrast of how life could be. And then to go home, I feel like I'm getting emotional. It's this deep remorse because I felt it each time I go home. I go home and the brainwashing is there even when I'm tuned out of the media. It's just all around. It's pervasive. It's inescapable. And it makes me start consuming more, moving less, becoming more lethargic. And that's my own journey. Like, I could do all the things I'm doing here, but something in me gets a little depressed and less motivated while I'm there because of all the around. And that's the shame I have to deal with personally. I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm just encouraging you, if you're American, to see if there is shame waiting for you underneath the distractions, underneath the stories that are told to us and that we tell ourselves. And just see if there's something you can work with there to come into more love, more peace, more love for other countries, more love for other land masses. I just say that with a smirk because it's like, who drew these borders? They're not real. So, anyway, that's where all of this took me. Thanks for sticking in there. And I'd really be curious what your thoughts are. If you are American and tap into this, if you're not American and you empathize with us who are trying to find our way through this shame of what we're doing to the world as a country. So anyway, by the way, I do acknowledge there's so many Americans doing wonderful things in the world. This is broad strokes. This is at our highest levels of government I'm talking about. There are a lot of people doing good work, and I don't want to diminish that. So thank you if you're one of them. So that's all I got, and I'm going to show you the sunrise that finally came out a little bit. Here comes the water. Bye.